Hi, I'm going to show you how I can export this EXR image into Photoshop without changing the colors or maintaining the same or as close as possible these colors. So the first thing I did was going to the render output and going all the way down to the color management. So render and then scroll down to color management. And then I'll keep the display in sRGB because I'm using a monitor as sRGB monitor. But the view layer, instead of using AGX, which I believe is the default version of the view transformation, in Blender 5, which is the version that I'm using currently, I'll change it to ACES 2.0. And the working space, I will change it from Rec 01 to Rec 09 to ACEScg. And then I will render, but what I did was just, instead of using the normal output, in the compositor, I just create a render layer node, a file output, and create a OpenEXR output. And you can render it in half float or full float, doesn't matter. I'm just using a codec to make the file smaller. And that was it. And once I open this file in Photoshop, it's the correct file, and we'll open it here. And you'll see that in this version of Photoshop, yeah, the colors are not the same, definitely. These are washed out and doesn't look the same. So in order to adopt the same transformation, view transformation and the same color workflow, what I did was going to go to Edit, then open Color I/O settings, and then you probably have this disable. You can enable it first, and you will have these two options by default: is CG for rendering and Studio Config for photography. But what you will have to do is just look for another configuration file using this root folder. And what I called in this file config OCO from the Blender folder, which is right now it's Blender 5, the version that I'm using, then 5.0 data file color management and config. And there's the config file. Also, I will change the color, the working space, as I did in Blender. So I'll change it to linear ACEScg. And I'll keep the document depth to 32 bits. Okay. And the next thing that I have to do is just transform the colors that I have these into open color. So I can going to go to edit, convert to open color IO. And here everything is good. We already know that we are using the configuration file from Blender. In this case, it's an unnamed config file. Also, the working space is linear ACEScg, 32 bits, it's fine, this is okay. But the input color space is incorrect because we are not, what is coming from Blender is not linear Rec 709, but is ACEScg. So we know this is the working space that we have in Blender. So I will change it to ACEScg, click OK. You will see that there was a slight change in the colors, but still it's not looking good. And this is because we also have to change the view transform So if I go to Windows, open Color IO, the displays is, yes, as sRGB, it's normal, but the view is not standard anymore, but ACES 2.0. And now we have the same color. So you see that we have the view ACES 2.0, the working space is ACEScg, just as in Photoshop, and now everything matches, and it looks exactly the same, or very, very close. Now, the only problem with this is that if I want to import other images, for example, I can, I don't know, I have this sort of a concept for this, and if I just bring it here as a reference, you'll see that the colors are completely damaged. This image does not have the same configuration as our render, so it's very different, and I might need to import some PNGs or JPEGs. And if I'm doing this matte painting, I will just photo bash a bunch of stuff, so I need the right color here. So how to fix this? The way to do it is the same. I need to transform all these colors into an open color space. And so what I will do is just again go to Edit, convert to Open Color IO. Everything is correct, except for the input color space, because this time we are not using Rec 709 or linear ACEScg. This is basically a normal PNG. So what I'm going to do is convert it, tell Photoshop that this is an sRGB image, but instead of using the default sRGB, I'll go to Legacy and tell it that is an ACES 2.0 sRGB. Click OK. The colors will be changed, but now you see that everything is washed out, but it's only because our view is still not ACES 2.0. So if I again go to Windows, Open Color IO. By the way, if I import this image into the original render, it will work, because in this file, in the render, we already changed the view. But just for showing you guys, I will again change the view here, ACES 2.0. Now it's the same as the original image. And if I Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V, you'll see that the colors will be the same. Nothing will change. Everything is correct. Now I can put this as a reference. And if I want to go back to Blender with this file, I can basically export it. Copy, save, copy, and then I will just name it. I'll keep the same name, but put from Photoshop, and that will be it. I already have another version. I will just call it V2. I'll just compress it using this wavelet compression. And finally, if I go into Blender and I import an image, now I'll just import this file, this V2 file. You will see that it's exactly the same as the original render. Now it has this image that we copy paste before, and the colors are basically exactly the same. So it will maintain the same color workflow. So this is very useful because you want to go back and forward, also adding some elements in Photoshop, projecting them back in Photoshop or here in Blender or in any other application. So, and this is something that I haven't seen a lot of information on how to do this in this version of Blender and in the version of Photoshop that I currently have. So you better update your Photoshop and use Blender 5 or a higher version if you don't have it yet, as in order to have this access to this this improved workflow.